Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another night of Beyond the White Noise Paranormal Videocast with my co-host Mo Gunnery and me, Kurt Logston. As you can tell, he is from the other side of the pond. Just you'll hear it in his accent. And for me, I just am from the mid-Atlantic states, so you don't know what kind of accent I have. Just with the shake of the head I saw right there. Mo, how's everything going with you, my friend?
So far, so good. Yeah, I'm actually quite... Normally, when it gets to this time in Britain right now, it's 10 o'clock at night. I normally get to that point where, how can I put it? You sort of slowly but surely start to drift into Sunday and start wanting to go to sleep and the like. And right now, I'm kind of wired, more due to the fact of the amount of coffee that I pumped into myself. So, no, I'm totally fine. But yeah, I'm alive. What have you been up to this week, Kate?
What I've been up to, giving a lot of tours. Basically, giving a lot of tours and working at the Bell Dawson house. So everything's been going smooth, man. So far, so good. Okay. I'm getting excited for the wedding, September 24th. I am definitely stoked for that.
Just read away. I can't come to your stag, dude. Can't come to no stag night.
I'm not allowed to have a stag, dude.
That's probably best.
Well, the way I look at it, my age, dude, it'd be a little awkward anyway. I'm going to be honest. I'm the old man in this this show right here, and I'll be the first to admit it, man. I'm definitely the old man in this one.
Not mentally.
I'm sorry?
Not mentally, you know.
Well, mentally, I'm about a 12-year-old. But, you know, I go at it like a 12-year-old would, you know.
Oh,
kicking and screaming, and Mo keeps me in line and in check and stuff like that. So, yeah, so does my fiance, too. She keeps me in check also, most definitely. It's almost like I need a constant babysitter for both sides of the pond. You know, I mean, I don't know what the hell happened to my life, but, you know, this is what it turned into. But
hey, could be worse.
Yeah, how's your week, man? How's your week, dude?
Well, so far so good. As of this week or over the past couple of days, I've started trying to revamp the website. I haven't uploaded it live as of yet, but I've been doing a few little minor tweaks, a few little minor fixes. I've been speaking to a group in Singapore, a group in Sweden. I think I'm in contact with a group in Japan. I'm going to try and get on in a few shows' time, just to tell us about, as good as it is, what we have in Britain for paranormal and for what Kate's got. In Japan, they've got like the Yuri. They've got a lot more to deal with over there. Well, not to deal with, but they've got a lot more folklore and a lot more to tell us. So I'm kind of hoping that I can get these guys on, but there is one slight problem. The time difference between me and Kate is 5 hours, and the time difference between us and Japan is huge. So I've got a funny feeling one of us out of the three is going to look like shit, and it's possibly going to be me, because everything seems to fall towards America and Britain just gets dragged in by our feet, sadly. So luckily, hopefully we can get, I mean, the guys in Singapore, they're absolutely amazing, really nice guys. Guys in Sweden, you will get to hear from them. The one thing I can't grasp is I received an email from them a couple of days ago, and instead of saying good morning, it came out like something like good morning or jing, or they've got like their own little special way of saying stuff, and I can't grasp it.
Did you hit the translate button? You know, sometimes.
No, apparently, I'd like to talk to them, because I'd just be going good, Jürgen, because I honestly I don't know how it's going to go. I don't know. I can just see it being like Monty Python.
Yeah. But it could be good, though. I mean, it'll definitely be good.
It better be.
Monty Python is definitely a plus.
I want to be John Cleese. Got to be John Cleese. That's all that matters. So Melody Hook and Stephanie Mariam Brito Gutierrez. What a name. I hated the two of you guys in the chat room. So, hi, guys. As for you kids, how's your week been?
You already asked me that, but that's okay. I'll repeat myself.
No.
My week's been going well. I mean, I've been planning on the wedding. Trying to get get that in order. I got my shoes, got my wingtips. My wingtips came in. Of course, I'm like a name brand person. It's got to be a name brand, or I don't wear it. I don't like it. Like when I do the park service, they give us Nike everything. Everything's Nike, and it's even the same color shirt you wear at Maplin, the light blue. You know, the sky blue. Yeah, they give us the sky blue also. So, I'm getting everything together. I got to get my ring finger measured since I got like little baby hands, or like clumps. You know, I got like little baby clumps. Yeah, I got baby clumps.
Dude,
and stuff like that. I got to get. I don't know what they're going to measure it in, meters or millimeters.
Millimeters. Look at my ring finger. I've got a permanent ring. Take it off. It's still there. So that is about as unparanormal as our life's going to get right now. So I'm going to drag it straight into the paranormal if it's cool with you.
Sounds like a plan.
Right, for everybody who's out there at the moment, I'm going to drag up a little tiny bit of news. And to start off with, this Destination America have actually done something which none of the TV channels seem to have done as of late. And they've actually created something called The Hauntest. It came out on the 25th of the 25th of the 7th. It came out. I was really surprised when I seen it. Just to give you guys a bit of a heads up, I'll see if I can get it on the screen for you now so you can see what the hell it looks like. Have we got that up there, have we, Kate? Yeah?
Yes, sir.
Superb. I'll select mine. Right. Okay. So if you look very closely at the screen, The Hauntest, it's basically, it's a community. I was really surprised to see that they actually brought a community for everybody as opposed to just being the TV station that wants to just be a TV station. And as you can see, you got hauntings, ghosts, Bigfoot, cryptozoology, aliens, Odd, which is our show, Paranormal 101, which is our show, About. I would never suggest you check our About page.
No.
It's scary. But nevertheless, it has got a lot in. I've been very surprised by it, to be fair. And some of the news that keeps appearing on the page is quite surprising. For instance, I don't know if anybody who's a member of our Facebook page, I released something yesterday on our Facebook page, which was about Harry Houdini. And Houdini.
Oh, I saw some of that. I read a little bit.
Yeah, somebody dug up Harry Houdini's head apparently and robbed his skull. The story, I managed to find the first part of the story on The Hauntest, and I was really surprised. I just literally scanned past. I seen it and I got really excited. I was like, I'm looking into this further. And then I did, and it dragged me down a rabbit hole of really weirdness. But I was very surprised by that. Pleasantly surprised. So anyway, check it out. DestinationAmerica.com/The Hauntest, all one word. It's definitely worth a check out if you want to have a little read of some mad random news when you're sitting there doing whatever you're doing. And the second one, second piece of news is, it's questionable, but I'm going to read it anyway.
Do it.
Whether you believe in the paranormal activity or not, the scene that apparently greeted officers on a house call in Glasgow does sound a little bit odd, to say the least.
Tell everybody where Glasgow is, by the way, for our side of the pond.
Glasgow, okay? You got Britain, London, Liverpool, Glasgow, up top end.
And Scotland. It's in Scotland. Scotland, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, okay, yeah, Scotland. Sorry, Kate.
Sorry, dude. Sorry.
No, it's cool. Glasgow is the place where people can't say murder. It's weird. They come out and say murder. They can't say murder. Always have a little look. They can't say murder or burglar alarm. They cannot say neither. It just
their accent, dude. I've been there to Glasgow, and put it this way: it's one of those cities. If somebody offered you $1 million to live there for a year and a half, would you do it? You know, because everybody's posting these, these like creepy like manners, and if somebody gave you $1 million, would you live there for a year? And of course I would. You know, but would you live in Glasgow for a year and a half for £1 million? No, I wouldn't, because I got to see Glasgow firsthand, and it's ugly. It's not the most beautiful city you will ever come across in your life. No offense to all the jocks listening to this.
No, they probably understand. Believe me. I was born and raised. I'm still live in Liverpool, so I kind of agree with you on that one. Glasgow's not much dissimilar to Liverpool. Organised crime's amazing. Well, anyway, right. If you believe it or not, it does sound a little bit odd, this story, right? But the police were called out to a property in Ruther Glen, and they witnessed clothes flying around, flickering lights, an upside down lampshade, an opening and closing oven, according to the Daily Record, which is a newspaper local to the area. But if that wasn't strange enough, a chihuahua was playing in the garden and inexplicably made it on top of a 7-foot hedge. Okay, right, so officers were called to a property by the family living there, who the website for the Daily Record said were panicked by what was going on, and apparently the activity carried on for 2 days. The police in Scotland, they confirmed it by visiting the property on August 8th and 9th. The family has since gone to stay with relatives, whilst a Catholic priest apparently provided a blessing. The source on the website told that the incidents were not easily explained, and they said that the officers attending expected to be mental health issues, but witnessed lights going off, clothes flying across the room, and the dog sitting on top of a hedge. The officers called their superiors, who also attended, thinking that the constables were perhaps being a bit silly, but it's being taken very seriously. The fact that it was witnessed by our officers lent itself to a very different but active inquiry. And the record later spoke of a demonologist called Jason Love, who suggested the poltergeist could have been feeding off the energy of prepubescent teens, because that's a cliche. And it's understood that the police are working with doctors and social services to provide support. The newspaper in Britain, the Metro.co.uk, approached the Catholic Church, but have yet to receive a response. I wouldn't respond to the Metro if they contacted me for anything. A spokesman for the police said on August 8th and 9th, the police attended the house in Ruther Glen to report of a disturbance. No evidence of criminality was found, and advance guidance was given to the family. And my next question is, how long till the ghost hunt night start?
It's going to start soon. I mean, I think these people have a cash cow in a sense. If that's your house, that's a definite cash cow. I'd probably charge about 300, 400 pounds and to have them actually do an investigation. Reason is, I mean, because the police witnessed the fact, so you can always use that as a so-called definite. Oh, if the police witnessed it, therefore it must be true. Then we go back to Zach Bagan's house, the demon house, where the police supposedly witnessed it, and the cops were the ones that were putting phone apps on the ghost pit. Phone apps on the pictures.
They were faking them. It's hilarious. We've got places like, for instance, the Enfield Poltergeist, right, Green Street. The house there, a female police officer. If anybody wants to know what I'm talking about with the Enfield Poltergeist, go onto our channel and just search the Enfield Poltergeist. We've got a video up on it. And in the video, there was a policewoman, and she actually bore witness to a chair getting lifted off the ground and dropped. And as far as I'm aware, nobody paid attention to it, even though she said it. Nobody was that bothered by it. And I think the police frowned upon her saying it. It's a career ruiner. You wouldn't do it. Nowadays, maybe, I'd understand. There is another police constable coming up in a later story on the show tonight. But in my opinion, I think they're trying to set themselves up so that they do have a creative event night to set up. There's a house in Hull, exactly the same, where convenient activity happens, and then all of a sudden the house is now open for events.
Yeah, we had over here our similar story to what went on in Enfield. We had actually the entity was that I gotta admit, everybody goes, oh, The Exorcist, creepiest show I have. No, by far the entity, because you had Dr. Barry Taft and others that investigated and said, yeah, something is really wrong with this place. This poor lady was getting raped by a so-called entity of sorts. Yeah. And I just find it a lot creepier. I mean, that's the house I'd want to go investigate, because supposedly it attached itself to Barry Taft and a couple other camera guys. And when they went home, all sorts of stuff started kicking off. Like the gas stove would turn on by itself, and all sorts of weird stuff would happen. But dude, it's got some of a similar thing. And I got my opinion on the Enfield Poltergeist, but I'll keep it to myself. But in the thing though, man, anything to do with poltergeist and that I find creepier, based on the fact that it's not really paranormal in a sense. Yeah. It's kind of offset from, you got your typical ghosts here. You got your people here who believe in demons and even, this orbs. I'll go out to like that. My apologies to all you orb lovers out there. But but this is kind of in a creepy zone where the Enfield Poltergeist was. Witnesses, you have witnesses. I mean, you had some solid witnesses, then you had some not so solid witnesses. So I mean, it's hard to tell both sides, of the pond, which is real, which is not real. I don't know, man.
But just so people are aware on this, by the way, on the video we've got on our channel of the Enfield Poltergeist, it's really popular at the moment. It's gone really well. And we have probably about 300 or 400 comments per day come through on it. Unfortunately, we don't answer as much as we'd like to. The only ones I ever really seem to answer are the ones where people actually, I don't know, where they have a valid question to ask, okay? Except for one response I gave to one person who said to me, or said to us on the YouTube channel, I cannot believe nobody got a camera phone out and recorded this. It's not like everybody hasn't got camera phones. This is pathetic. I'll always remember that. And I thought to myself, it was 1979. This was before I was even born. And you expect people to have camera phones then. And, when you just look at somebody, and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to look at your YouTube channel. I just want to see what you're like. And this person's like 19 years of age or 20 years of age with amazingly good hair. Like when you look at somebody, and you just think to yourself, society's failed you. I really do. I think society and the schooling systems failed you, my friend. I think we need to move on swiftly. And I thought, I can't do it. And I just
you should have done it, man. You should have said something.
I couldn't ruin his life more than it's probably going to be ruined by the fact that schooling's failed him. But oh dear me, that is got to be I don't know. Back to the story in Scotland. Nevertheless, my opinion is I think they're trying to set themselves up for a very good event tonight. And I'm going to keep my eyes open, and as soon as it happens, I'm going to come on and go, told you. If it doesn't happen, I'm going to ignore that I ever mentioned it, so that I don't look like I've ever been wrong in my life, which I have.
I mean, I could see it happening. I mean, I don't know many groups up. We've had a couple. Have we had a couple people on from Scotland?
Yeah, we have Templar Paranormal. Yeah,
Templar Paranormal. Solid group.
Yeah, amazing guy. And I think he was from Glasgow as well. So do you know what? As a matter of fact, I'll have a word with him a little bit later. I'll see if we can get him to give us our opinions himself on it.
I'd like to hear his opinion on that.
And I'd love his opinion to go along the lines of, so they've done it. They've came out with something. I'd love it. It'd be funny. Just somebody saying they were playing a trick. It'd be great. But nevertheless, you're ready to move on to the main event of the night. We'll go for.
Which one's that? The Chester?
The main segment. I love it. Right. I'll start firstly anyway. So the best and the worst of the paranormal, in 2016 so far. It's fair to say in the recent months we've had the paranormal seems to have gone from amazing paranormal, interesting, fascinating, to absolute lunacy, and it's gone straight back to where it started again. I don't know why. It's just going on a wild tangent. But just to start off, what I'll do is I will bring up the first piece of news which I found at the beginning of the year, which sort of left me scratching my head slightly. And I'll also explain why it left me scratching my head very, very shortly. So on January the 25th, 2016, Slenderman's been reported as terrifying people in houses in Britain. It's been part of a global folklore for centuries with elongated appearances of There's been part of a global folklore for centuries with their elongated appearance remaining the same around the world. And the paranormal probe has been launched in the Midlands following 4 sightings of Slendermen, long, stick, thin spectres feared around the world. Each of these chill and close encounters took place in the Cannock area. And now the X-Files investigator, not my words, guys, Lee Brickley, remember him, Kurt?
Oh, yeah.
He's trying to fathom out why the ghoul has descended on the Staffordshire mining town. Slendermen have been part of global folklore for centuries. They may have been known by different names, but their harrowing, elongated appearance remains the same around the world. In Scotland, the fiendish figure is known as the Fear Dub or the Dark Man. The Dutch dubbed him as Takken Man, which is branch man. In Germany, he's referred to as Der Grossman, which is tall man. Dressed in a black suit, the floating figure is tree tall and capable of stretching limbs and torso like warm toffee. Okay. Slenderman Search is the second major ghostly investigation undertaken by 28-year-old Lee. And last year, he revealed how the terrifying spectre known as the Black-Eyed Children had returned to Cannock Chase after a 30-year absence. The child, with coal black pits for eye sockets, roamed the beauty spot looking to lure unsuspecting walkers on remote tracks that thread their header. I don't know. But 3 or 4 Slenderman sightings have been inside houses, or 3 out of the 4, sorry. He's examining the claims, and Lee's told Birmingham Mail that he gets so many sightings that roughly at the same time that it's unusual. And one theory is that it has nothing to do with the supernatural eyewitnesses. It's more to do with sleep paralysis, where individuals' eyes are open but are in a state of sleep, therefore unable to move. Okay. The reports of Slenderman seemingly pinning victims down as if sitting on their chests. That could be well down to sleep paralysis, apparently. A resident of Pye Green on the fringes of Cannock Chase says that she was visited by a lean, shadowy spirit on December the 14th. I was awoken just before 2 a.m. by odd scratching noises in my bedroom, she said, and to my astonishment, there seemed to be a sphere-shaped shadow at the edge of my wardrobe. And as I tried to get out of bed and investigate further, the shadow began to stretch forwards towards the ceiling. And it was at that point I found myself faced with the most disgusting, horrific creature imaginable. A husband. No, I'm only messing. It was about 8 feet tall. It was about 8 feet tall with a white face and razor-sharp fangs. And another householder from Slitting Mill, what a name, in Rugeley reported, as my eyes opened, I saw a man floating over me. I could not see his eyes. They were a fierce... Also, I could see into his eyes, sorry. There's a fierce red colour that shook me to the very core. As the ordeal ended with the man who was completely dressed in black with a hat to match, I floated higher and higher until he hit my ceiling and disappeared. The only outdoor encounter comes from Castle Ring, which is an Iron Age hill fort, which has been a paranormal hub for decades. The Druids gather there in the summer for their summer solstice. Apparently, that must make it worse. In the post on Lee's website, an eyewitness stated that whilst taking a midnight stroll around Castle Hill on early hours Friday morning, I happened to notice a strange figure in the distance. It appeared to rise out from the trees and hover over the path about 100 meters in front of me. It was very dark, but I could see it clearly because of the lights coming from Rugeley. That's the nearby town. It was also a pretty clear night. If I were comparing it to anything, I would say it looked like a stereotypical Victorian gentleman. Long black overcoat with a Homburg hat. I know this was no flying man because it had blood red eyes and it shone in the night sky. It also had a mouthful of teeth that seemed to look like razors, and whatever it was, it stopped hovering and descended into the black trees. Needless to say, I did not investigate this any further. Okay, now over here in BTWN, we have our own little secret. Okay, or we know a little bit of a secret, and the secret, it's a fascinating secret, right? Slenderman was created in 2009 for a competition called Know Your Memes on the Creepypasta website, and it also circulated through Reddit. Okay, so the Slenderman story, the entire Slenderman theory, myth, is nothing but a myth. It was created by a guy. The sad part about the Slenderman story, which I don't think we brought it up earlier in the year, is two girls who actually followed and were one step off worshiping Slenderman unfortunately attacked the girl in some toilets in America, and she nearly died. She managed to literally get away with her life. They attacked her with a knife in the toilet, and apparently what they were trying to do is offer a sacrifice to Slenderman.
That's creepy, dude. See, that's real life. That's creepy stuff. I mean, yeah, you're about to slice some poor girl's neck for Slender Man, who really doesn't exist except on your computer screen or on your television show, depending on what you're doing. But what's interesting, though, is you brought up the hat bit, because I was reading something the other day about shadow figures, and a lot of people notice when they see shadow figures, they also see some type of brimmed cap of sorts.
Well, one of the names that the hat figures get, or like the Men in Black, as they like to call them, they get called the Fedora Man.
Okay.
Fedora men. And basically what it is because they wear fedora hats. They're known, and this is only, this is folklore. It's actually American folklore, to be fair. They're known to be the most awkward individuals you'll ever speak to. They're like really weird. If you ask them a question, they'll respond with a random fact. It's like as if they can't grasp what you're saying to them. They struggle to understand what you're saying and just come back with something, anything. As an example, I did read a story last year. If I can find it, I'll drop it into the show notes for this show, and I'll drop it into the podcast show notes as well, of a man who was walking down the road, and he said he seen somebody across the road who looked familiar, and the man stepped back into a doorway, and when he went over there to see who it was, the fella, whoever it was grey-faced with a hat, and he said he was familiar, but he'd never seen him before. One of those weird, like deja vu events. And he walked over to ask him, "Do I know you?" And the guy said something like, the weather's really cold and I don't know why. And then just ran. It was like the weird, but he was again a daughter wearing a hat, man. I'm pretty sure, if I can remember, I think it was.
Did he have his trainers on and everything else?
No, no joke from the story, I can tell you, right? He had a black suit on, white shirt, black hat, suitcase, and he was dressed like he was going somewhere, but it was like he didn't fit in society in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, that's That's kind of creepy, though, man.
If I can find it, I think it was on the Anomalist website, the Anomalist. Okay. If I can find it, God, I'll link to it. It's an amazing story, because the guy even said that when it all happened, he sort of stood there and went, oh, okay. But there's nothing else you can say.
What else can you say?
No, yeah. It's funny though. To be fair, it's the type of story that you like to. How can I put it? It's the type of story that you like to look into, whether you want to or not, whether you feel like you should look into it or not. It is the type of story that you look into. But yeah, that's me. My opinion. Slenderman. Unless he can get on a plane, he ain't coming over here. Same as Black-Eyed Children. How the hell have they managed to all? But the thing is, they've all woken up in Cannock Chase. It's like conveniently they've all woken up around the guy who's writing the book about them.
Oh yeah,
my opinion. That's just the kind of way.
It's just an opinion. I mean, I agree with you on that 100%. I mean, you think about Black-Eyed Kids. I mean, you think, dude, how much Molly do you have to take to get your eyes black and show up at somebody's door, acting like you're lost?
Can I lend some money off you, man? Just like that sort of cracking in the corner with your big black eyes. Yeah.
I mean, I said this way back on the show. I created a newspaper article because they had like a template where you could do it, and it looks like a real newspaper article, except I did Red Eye Kids, and basically you're stoners. You're stoner kids. So, and that's what I was shooting for as a joke. And I wanted to see how far around, and it came full circle from Australia. Somebody passed it along. I'm going, that just did not happen. There's no way that just happened. I couldn't believe it was by pure luck. I think I was friends. You get so many friends on Facebook and Twitter, and it came back. I'm like, dude, I created that story, man.
Of course. Do you know the one thing? And this is the only thing that really makes me scratch my head with regards to Slenderman, right? It sounds like he's an amalgamation. The story sounds like he's a bit of a few other stories. So, for instance, as I said, you got the Fedora Man, which is the typical Men in Black stories that people are getting. What's the other one called? The Hat Man. Sorry. There's also the Trickster, which is another one which people keep having dreams about, where they wake up in the middle of a dream and there's somebody sitting at the end of the bed, and he'll say something to them, and he'll be horrible to them, or he'll pin them down. And the Trickster phenomenon is actually something which has been heavily researched, but is not really publicized.
But you make a great point. But going back to the original part of the story, where we're talking about sleep paralysis and stuff. Now I've had that happen to me one time in my life, and I got to admit, scared me. It put the fear of God into me, because I was living in an old house. People swore they saw this and that. I felt pinned. It felt like there was somebody around me. I couldn't tell you what it was, but that's before the whole theory of sleep paralysis really took off. So, you freak out. But my thing is, I was so freaked out by it. When am I going to have time to turn and look at my clock and say, oh, it's about 45 minutes past 1 a.m. It's when it happened. No, I was freaking out, dude. I mean, I'll be straight honest. I was freaking out. But then once I got my wits about me, I'm going, man, that was a nasty nightmare I just had. And that's the way I look at it. It's a nightmare where, and it's a natural thing that occurs to certain people, and people got to realize that. They, TV shows tend to love to hover over that. Slender Man. My thing on Slender Man's epic, why is Slender Man always hanging around playgrounds? I think he's a pedo. That's just my take on life. and no, I'm not going to curse. I am making that statement because he's always holding some little girl's hand. It's like he's leading her away. I'm like, girl, run the other direction. Think about this. It's always that scene. I'm like,
but the best part for me is if that's the situation, right, and he's standing there and he's doing that, how the hell can he look inconspicuous?
Yeah, you can't.
You can't.
You're 7 people tall.
Yeah. No, he's about 15. Apparently, he's about 15 foot tall and floats over people with big red eyes and razor sharp teeth. I can just imagine him, like, cover your red eyes with some sunglasses. You're pasty, you're white, you're about 15 foot tall. Those scary teeth you got there, just get some fake little gnashes in there. You're rolling. You're totally fine.
Oh, it's just like you could see. I'm too fat to dress up as Slender Man for Halloween. That's what sucks the most. Because actually, Slender Man would be a pretty cool. If you had all the gear and everything else to make yourself close to 50 feet tall and see through like the bottom of like your shirt or something like that, walk around like Slender Man and just hover in weird places.
If anybody wants to know what the closest thing you're ever going to get to Slender Man being really tall and pasty skin, right? I need you to look up a Facebook friend of mine. Go on Facebook and look up a guy called Brad Ireland. Dude's an affiliate of the show. He does help. He's helped out in the past with the show. He's a really
nice he's a great guy. Great guy.
He's 7 foot tall. He's really thin. He's pasty white. He's ginger, so he's got no soul anyway. I think the dude's. I think he's Slenderman. I just don't think he hangs around playgrounds. I would like to say that to him. He's ex-military.
Yeah, I'd rather not say that to Brad. Yeah, I did make a comment the other day on Facebook about someone having no souls. He jumped on and admitted not having a soul, and I was like, Brad to the rescue.
Oh,
at least I don't feel so bad about it. Then he took it. He took it in good, good spirits.
Man. He's amazing.
Oh my God! But Slenderman is just the most made up.
Oh, yeah.
It's like everything is today. And everybody's got a book out on them. Everybody's got a book on Black Eyed Kids. Everybody's got a book on this. Everybody's got a book on that. You and I could write a book on all the people we've had on these shows. And each chapter belongs to a certain person. And we just analyze this person's thought mentality. For certain people. People, and then for other people, no. It's just But that's just the way I look at things and all that. I don't know, man. I just think a lot of this stuff at the paranormal, it's going nowhere, and it's going nowhere fast. As much as you would love to catch a Class A EVP, let's say in an old orphanage, let's say in Liverpool, you have the old orphanage. We haven't taken it a step further than what's being seen on Ghost Adventures, minus Bill Chappell. Who I'm not going to disrespect the guy. He has taken it a step further, but do we really want to take it a step further or take it a step back and just rely on ourselves? Rely on a pad and paper, rely on, let's say, a compass for EMF, rely on, simpler tools.
Fundamental tools,
instead of all these electronics, which I'll admit, I don't understand. In order for it to be successful, and Mo knows this for a fact, since this is what he does for a living, you have to know how it works. Now, if I go out with a piece of equipment and I don't know how it works, I have an idea how it works, I don't consider myself properly using it as it should be used.
Yes, indeed. No, I totally agree. I totally agree. See, the one thing with equipment, the way equipment runs, especially when you take it out on any investigation, if you don't know how it works, it's like getting in a car and expecting to be able to drive just because you can hold a steering wheel. There's also a big, massive fundamental thing called gears. And, there's too much to work alongside. So, no, I totally agree. My opinion.
All right. Are we ready for the Plague Doctor?
Indeedy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you have seen, and I really don't want to say this, but if you ever caught, and I never bring up other TV shows, Mo's going to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Poveglia Island in Italy is an island off the coast of, was it, Venice or somewhere like that?
Yes, it is, yeah.
And back in what years would you say?
I think it's about the 1500s to 1600s.
Yeah, when the plague was running rampant all over Europe, everybody was dying off, or they bury you basically alive. Well, there's a place in the UK called Chester. It's a town, I believe, or a small city, depending on what you want to call it, where there's this. The plague doctor is shown up. The plague doctor would look like it would have a long snout, and they would stick herbs up in the nose to keep you from getting the plague when you're taking the plague victims across the water, dumping them off on an island, hauling ass back, thinking it would actually stop some. But this is an interesting article that came out of the Chronicle. Now, see, I'm not familiar with the Chronicle, but I am going to go with this. Is this one of the other newspapers that you wouldn't go for?
Yeah, no. The Chronicle's a local newspaper to that area. What it is Chester's about 25 miles that way from where I am. It's a local town. It was created in Roman times. It was actually a Roman settlement that grew.
Oh wow, that's cool. Actually,
you can actually go there. They've actually got Roman. They're digging up a Colosseum at the moment.
That is cool.
It's an immense place. They've found all kinds underneath shops when they've gone into the cellar systems and noticed strange brickwork. Next minute they've started digging and found Roman baths, for instance. But yeah, there's like Roman history stooped all over the place.
How big is Chester? Would you say population wise?
Chester, population-wise, I'm not 100% sure. physical size-wise, it's only a couple of miles wide. It's only a small city, or a small, well, I think they class themselves, Chester, I think they class themselves as a city, but I think they're more of just like a small city, to be fair.
So you'll never catch them in the Premier League. Okay, let me move on here. All right. People, and Mo understands it. If anybody else is listening that follows the real football, and I should say you'd understand it, not hand ache. Okay, the infamous Chester Plague Doctor is a man of a few words. In fact, he hasn't spoke to anyone for centuries. So when the Chronicle asked for an interview with the man behind the black beak mask, we know the chances of a world exclusive was very slim. He has witnessed such sickness and death that he no longer speaks, was the reply from Dean Patton, company director of the Heritage firm, responsible for sending a man dressed as a plague doctor out into the streets of Chester in recent weeks. Now, here's what I want these watchers to do. When we're done the show tonight, go onto our page. You will see the actual video we put up on our site of this guy that walks around as a plague doctor. It's I gotta admit, creep factor about 8.5, 9. I mean, if you really see this guy walking around, you're gonna be like, oh, this is creepy. When pictures of the eerie figure emerged on social media, it created a buzz of speculation over why such a spooky character would be found roaming the city at night. The story even made it into the national newspapers. Lauren Gleave, the plague doctor, spooked Cistercians before his true purpose was revealed. But the secret is out now, guys. I'm sorry I got to be the one to bust this out for you. But the secret is out. As we have revealed yesterday, which would be June 20th, the Chester Plague Doctor has been discreetly filmed scenes which he will be used in a visitor attraction to be launched by Big Heritage later this summer. All right. So, what else, Dean, tell us about the project? It will be visitor attraction that pushes the boundaries, educates, entertains, and occasionally induces vomiting. He said before joking, ha ha ha. That's a Big Heritage in a nutshell. Okay, let me go down to what plague doctors really were. Let me go into the history real quick here. Plague doctors were hired by cities that had many plague victims of times of epidemics. They wore beak masks and carried long sticks to avoid contact with their patients. Chester has had its brushes with the plague epidemics in the past, most notably in the early 17th century. Ladies and gentlemen, that would be the 1600s. For those of you who have a hard time figuring that out, when the hundreds of people in the city died. Dean Pato, another sighting of the plague doctor in Chester, examining more about his summer visitors attraction. Dean added, we have won national awards for our projects about the history of medicine, and this year we are doing something special in Chester that will tell a gory story of the medicine.
Oh, it's hilarious.
The infamous Chester Plague Doctor is a man of a few words. In fact, he's spoken to anyone for centuries. So when the Chronicle asks, okay, we've already went over that.
Yeah, it's okay. So basically, the one thing that they haven't mentioned with regards to the Chester Plague Doctor, the one thing that they struggled to tell you in that news report was it was a gentleman who walked around and we've seen on what's called the Chester Walls and on one of the Chester on the Chester archaeological dig where they're digging up part of this Colosseum. And basically, he was just standing there. And there's this grainy footage. So get over to our channel, as I said, or better still, go in the show notes, in the comment section, in the show notes below, and on the YouTube channel, on the podcast as well. If you look in the show notes, click the link, it'll take you to the video. And basically, this creepy ass dude in the middle of the night is walking around in a black robe with a white belt on, with a black beaked mask on, in the middle of Chester at night. Okay, if he was in Liverpool, or if he was in New York, or if he was in Chicago, or anywhere, and you walk around the corner in the middle of the night, and you see that creepy ass guy standing there with this mask on, I'm kicking its face off. I'm taking him out, and I'm assuming the rest of the planet would. But nevertheless, the Heritage Foundation thought it was really funny to let this guy go for a little walk around Chester dressed in a mask. I think that's biblically stupid, especially considering the amount of firearms that float around in the northwest of England at the best of times. We're in a pretty country at the best of times, but no, it's kind of wrong that they done it. That's my opinion. But
I would have purposely sent the guy to Manchester, dude, because you really want to send him somewhere dangerous, somewhere where the plague probably still exists. I'll probably send him to Manchester.
That's harsh. That's unfair. Oh no, but
I wouldn't say Liverpool. Liverpool's known for culture, but Manchester's known for bring your brass knuckles and bring as many knives as possible because you're going to need them. That's all I got to say, man.
Gotta love it. But yeah, that, in my total opinion, I think it's a bit of a risk what they've done. They're not the only people who've done it. If you go over to our channel, there's another video which was released earlier this week of a guy from Wisconsin.
The clown.
Yeah, Green Bay, Wisconsin. There was a guy in Green Bay, Wisconsin walking around dressed as a clown with 4 balloons in his hand in the middle of the night. 4 black balloons just standing there. I'm not going to tell you the outcome of the story. I'm going to say go and watch the video. Again, I'll throw it in the comments below as per usual. But, dude, you've got to be crazy. People armed themselves when they heard about that balloon guy. They armed themselves. That's just my opinion. I think it should never happen. I think it's creepy. So what I'm going to do is, if it's cool with you kids, I'm going to move over to my story, if that's all right.
Let's move on, man.
Oh, my God. Where are we? Right, okay. The worst ghost footage ever. Okay, Paranormal Hunters. Hilarious blunder. Okay, now paranormal investigator and police constable Simon Cole from Aylesbury, Buckinghamshire, was on a trip to the World War II airfield in Rome Control Tower in Suffolk when his fellow hunters from Aylesbury Vale Paranormal, when they captured a spooky spirit, according to this, right? The energy, which looked like the figure of a person, was filmed using an adapted Xbox Kinect infrared sensor. First light, it's not an infrared sensor, it's a structured light sensor. Get it right if you're going to be a newspaper. The footage was analysed by Lee Roberts of Haunted Events UK, who believed there is much more mundane explanation. It turned out that Simon mistakenly filmed one of his own team members, Maria, who was standing in the doorway. Now, Simon and his fellow ghost hunters filmed what they believed to be an unexplained energy. Now, Lee explained that at the moment I watched it, the first thought was that the lady who comes out at the very end of the video, the camera picks up on it. It's seeing her shape, and it uses heat and movement to pick up on people, so it doesn't use heat. Structured light sensor does not use heat, unless he's got the proper SLS cam, which is it's got heat sensor built into it apparently. So it's seeing her shape through the doorway. The interesting thing is that when she comes into the room, it disappears. But the scientific explanation is that she was bent over, so it doesn't recognize his shape as a person. So that's why it's not picking up on it. That's right. Kinect sensors only recognize humans. They won't recognize a cat as a cat or a bird as a bird. So as she's crouched over and not stood up, she does not appear the shape of a person. So the device does not register. It's built to register the shapes of people. Despite Lee's explanation, Simon and his team, which consists of Russ, Maria, and Andy, are convinced that the shape was paranormal. And Simon says, I love that. We thought, I'm so sorry. We thought it must have been a pillar, but it was not, or we would have picked it up before. Okay, nothing was visible to it to set it off. So an anomaly is what we call. That makes no sense. Nothing was visible to set it off. So an anomaly is what it was called to the unexplained energy. Okay, so the hunt for that paranormal activity was a complete disaster. The device is good at picking up the shapes of forms of whatever it comes in shot as it has picked it up. We tried to debunk it. We tried to tell Maria to stay away from the door. Then we realized there can't be anyone stood in the doorway of the camera. We all got very excited by the figure that you see in the video, but as I walked in, it disappears. My energy must have upset it or spooked it. Maybe it was not aware of us. Since the Kinect was launched in 2010, scores of users have reported strange phenomena such as devices like games playing by themselves and unexplained extra plays detected by the device. We thought it must have been a pillar, as he said. We go into 44-year-old Simon says, again, by the way, we go into these things like it's the lottery. We put our time and effort in and we get it and out, then it's a result. Sometimes we get nothing, but we are really happy to get this. Sometimes we walk into a place and get a tingling on the back of our necks. Is this guy dogging or is he investigating paranormal?
He's out in the parking garage dogging, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no two ways about it, man.
Not at all. But I did not have anything like that. I did not have anything like these sensations on this one. A couple of my colleagues said they did, but you always get the heebie-jeebies in these types of places. Okay, heebie-jeebies. He added that Maria was stood in the doorway and people have pointed out that it could have been her, but she moved all the way back into the room, so it was not her. Thanks for clarifying that, Simon. What your Simon says.
And my thing also is, if you're gonna talk about something professional, the two words "heebie-jeebies" would not be what I'd use. But
spook.
That's just me. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I don't use the word spook. Right? Okay. So here's the fundamentals that we've learned from this show so far. Do not say that it's the X-Files. Do not say it's spooky. Do not call yourself a Ghostbuster. That's just my opinion. Just don't do.
And don't also, and we haven't brought this up, and I did see this with this group, and contains a certain person. I'll just keep it at that. They have their Gore-Tex jackets on with the Ghostbusters insignia, with the ghost with the red sash right through it. Yeah. Don't do that. Don't do that. You no, please don't.
Okay, just so anybody else is aware, proton packs, don't bother with them. Guess what? They're fictional. PKE meter, fictional. Don't get it. Even if you see it on eBay, chances are it ain't catching nothing other than your money. And that's just my future reference. But that's all I've got to say. There is one other piece of news that I've got to tell you guys before we call it a night for the show. There's a new film coming out which is pretty much going to destroy our lives as paranormal investigators as we know it. The sad part about the new film is it's called Ghost Team. And basically, it's a comedy outlook on what we do. They're going around buildings at night with the cameras. And it's done like a proper show. It's done like it should be done. And then when you look at it, I actually seen the clip and I thought, yay, this is going to be fun. And then a couple of seconds later, I thought, oh, crap. So everybody who looks at us like we're wasting our time is now going to have a film to use as proof that we're wasting our time. So, yeah, really disappointed.
What's it called again?
Ghost Team.
All right, I got to look that up. I'll look that up later.
Oh, it's absolutely hilarious. You know what? Just to save you a little bit of aggro, I'm going to bring it up now. And I'll read out a little clip about it just so people get to see what's going on. Okay, where are we? It's painfully unfunny. Okay, that's what they've called it. Okay. So, Ghost Team is a paranormal obsessed man mounts his own investigation into the beyond with his depressed best friend, his misfit nephew, his cable access medium, and his over-eager security guard. Right? And the cast is pretty dipshitish, to say the least. I'm not looking forward to it. Apparently, according to this, it's already a flop, so that's a bit of good news. Somebody's reviewed it and called it bloody disgusting. The Ghost Team is painfully unfunny, is what they've said. So, just going to go a little bit further if it's all right, Kurt.
Yeah.
Those who have already decided that the new Ghostbusters wasn't for them, it looked as if they had another option, which is Oliver Irving's Ghost Team. Now, Irving co-wrote the new comedy with Peter Warren, in which paranormal-obsessed man, Napoleon Dynamite's John Heder, mounts his own investigation into the beyond with depressed best friend, which is a guy from Harold and Kumar, his cable access medium, an over-eager security guard, and a god-awful psychic. Ghost Team not only boasted to be the perfect low-budget comedy broadcasting, but a concept that appeared to be the low-budget counterpart of Ghostbusters, and unfortunately, the filmmakers lied to you. From laughs to capturing spooks on camera, Ghost Team fails to promise anything. Albeit a bit of a spoiler, but it's quite necessary in explaining that why bloody disgusting readers should avoid this title. There are no ghosts in Ghost Team. Yes, go hunting for the supernatural, but there's nothing remotely spooky here. So if it's not scary, it's funny, right? No, Ghost Team has one of the better low-budget comedy casts in recent memory, and yet somehow Irving manages to deliver zero laughs. It's painfully unfunny to the point of boredom. It's so bad that I have to question whether or not it even had a script. It is possible that they improvised everything, and if this is the truth, it makes it look like the aforementioned cast has zero talent, which I refuse to believe. This would destroy my world. I love this. The only thing that ties everything together is that Irving and Warren attempt to offer redemption to the unlikely heroes who are otherwise failures in everyday lives. And it comes as a wasted effort for the reasons mentioned above. Ghost Team is the worst independent release and that it's going to be successful based on the names boasted on the cover, yet leave every single viewer disappointed. There's middle of the road, and then there's this, which road is yet to be paved. The only thing scary is that someone may actually pay hard-earned money to rent this film.
Yeah, I think what you need for that, add for characters, add the Wayans brothers in there, they'll make it funny. And if you add the Wayans brothers into it, it becomes funny all of a sudden. It's like Ghost Brothers. That's one of my favorite shows to watch because it's got comedy to it. It's got everything, and it's got comedy to it. It's not a bunch of serious people running around. I mean, these guys bust each other's chops like it's nobody's business, but they're still investigating and having fun doing it, not being like diehard. So I recommend Ghost Brothers to the people that haven't seen it nor have heard about it. It's on Destination America. I think it's one of the better shows out there, not necessarily to learn how to go investigate, but just for, for a good laugh, because those guys are funny. I'm sorry. I take that as that being a funny show. That's a good show.
No, I agree. I've seen a few of the episodes from it. It is a very good show. I love the fact that they don't, considering they're all very well groomed and they all look like, they could have a good fight. They all run every time. It's a spider web in his face. He runs. Here's a creak in a room. He runs. Feels the couch next to him move. His friend runs and leaves him in the. And
then they go off on each other because one leaves the other behind, and they start arguing with each other on camera. It's awesome.
It's amazing. He's like, I'm going. It's not because I'm scared. It's not because it's dark. I'm just going because I just want to go over there instead. It's just fine. Don't worry.
That's one of the. Go ahead, Mo. I'm sorry.
No, I was just about to say, so everybody's aware before we call it a close. Ghost Team, which I knew was going to pretty much ruin our lives, actually got from bloodydisgusting.com, which turns out is not what they called. He didn't classify that the film is Bloody Disgusting. It's the website's Bloody Disgusting. So sorry to you guys, I didn't realize. They actually give it half a point.
Oh,
half a point. I love it. So yeah, that's amazing. But yeah, that's me. That's all I've managed to pull up. So yeah, just so everybody's aware, by the way, we're coming to the close. So if you want to see what we're up to, jump onto Instagram, jump onto Twitter, jump onto Facebook. We've got a WordPress page where you can actually go and get our podcast, or you can just go to iTunes.com or any of the major podcast outlets. Just go there. You can grab our podcast. I've searched everywhere. We seem to be everywhere, and that was by utter fluke. But jump over onto our Facebook page, Beyond the White Noise Paranormal. Just like the page, and you'll see what we're up to. We tend to post out a few stories a week. We try to make sure that
it's constantly going. Yeah,
it's as informative as humanly possible. And sometimes we post some embarrassing crap. Most of the time, it's embarrassing crap about me or American dude who's just on the other side of the screen here. But yeah, nevertheless, that's it for this week. And no doubt, guys, we're going to see you next week. So we'll catch you soon. Enjoy, guys. Take it easy. Good night.
Take it easy. Peace.
Peace.